feel that outrage?
You do not. Because if you did,
do
you would not support sanctuary
jurisdiction. Do you feel the outrage about Alex Reddy and Renee Good?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You don't belong in this committee. You should get the hell out of here. You don't understand the rules of the committee. You don't understand the Constitution.
You're a
Mr. Raskin,
Mr. Raskin,
you're an absolute disgrace supporting sanctuary policies.
Say one word about
Get rid of sanctuary
Alex Reddy and Renee Good.
I did. I wrote a whole New York Times op-ed about it. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for not opposing sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
The committee will be in order.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say we will not allow, thanks to Mr. Lawler's outrageous outburst, we will not allow this to happen again. This was an agreement between the chair and the ranking member, and unfortunately, you're not able to control your members, so it is time for us to proceed.
Your opening statement was outrageous. You should be ashamed of yourself. I yield back.
There are congressional hearings that expose serious policy disagreements, and then there are moments when the debate itself becomes the story. What began as testimony from a grieving mother whose daughter was killed turned into one of the most emotional and confrontational exchanges we've seen in the House this year. Representative Mike Lawler used the hearing to argue that sanctuary policies contributed to a devastating tragedy. Representative Jamie Raskin responded that committee rules were being ignored and that political theater was overtaking the hearing. Within moments, members were shouting across the room, accusing each other of disrespect, and the chairman struggled to restore order. Stay with me because the exchange you're about to watch is only part of the story. The real question isn't simply who raised their voice the loudest. It's whether Congress is still capable of discussing immigration, public safety, and constitutional principles without reducing every hearing to another partisan spectacle. We'll examine what was actually said, why the confrontation escalated, and what it reveals about the current state of American politics. If you believe that partisan theater should have no place in Congress, please like and subscribe and share your opinion in the comments, because what you are about to watch is going to shock you, and I'll explain a different angle right after the exchange.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for having me at this important hearing. I'm here today to introduce Jessica Gorman. Jessica should not be here today. She should not be testifying before Congress. She should be back in New York with her daughters, Madeline and Sheridan, enjoying a quiet Tuesday afternoon in the summer. But unfortunately, Jessica is here with us today. And she's here because just a few short months ago, her beautiful daughter, Sheridan, was shot and killed in Chicago by an illegal immigrant. I cannot say it loud enough or clear enough, but this nation and this Congress owes you an apology. We are sorry to you, to Tom, and to Madeline. I didn't know Sheridan personally, and that's a tragedy. But I know her family, and I know the Yorktown community. I know that she was a kind and compassionate young woman who cared about her community and had a bright future ahead of us. And I know without a doubt in my mind the incredible things she would have done with her life should she had been given the chance. Her murder was senseless. It should not have happened. Our immigration policies exist for a reason, and they should have been enforced. Sheridan would still be with us today, and Jessica would not have to testify before this panel. Our immigration laws facilitate legal immigration processes to ensure that good, smart people can come into this country, assimilate, and contribute to our communities, while also ensuring that criminals who break the law do not get to stay. Their jobs are made infinitely harder when places like New York and Chicago blatantly disregard existing law and provide safe harbor to criminals. Sanctuary policies
Mr. Chairman,
are the reason.
Point of order. This is a statement, not an introduction.
Lady's point is well taken. Gentleman, please confine his remarks to the introduction.
Thank you.
Back in May of 2023, over 3 years ago, Sheridan's murderer illegally entered the United States. Border Patrol caught him. They apprehended him. But then, because of the Biden administration's ludicrous open border policies, he was released into our country. A month later, he was arrested for shoplifting in Chicago. Under existing law and the law at the time, he should have been deported right then and there.
Point of order, this is not an introduction.
By our federal laws.
Point of order, this is not an introduction, it's a speech.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Mr. Chairman,
disgraceful.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, for a ruling on the point of order.
Mr. Chairman,
Precisely because you have failed to do your job.
Yes,
Mr.
You wonder
Chairman,
why we had 4 hearings? It's because you don't understand the consequence of sanctuary policy.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, we won't
suspend.
give our approval for people to introduce their constituents if people don't stick to the rules. So I appreciate the chairman's insistence that we stick to the rules and that you have the opportunity to introduce your constituent, which I
Right,
think
and
you have
introducing
done.
my constituent
So thank you very
is-
much, Mr. Lawler and Mr.
is
Chairman.
sharing the
please have
details
committee
of her death.
be in
You may not
order.
want to hear the details. It may be an inconvenience to
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
but these details matter.
The gentleman will suspend. We have an agreement with the minority that the introductions will be introductory only. So if I could just ask for the gentleman to make that introduction and conclude.
Sure. When you send your kid to college, you should be worried about making sure they go to class, or hopefully that they have a nice roommate, or how to help them get a summer internship. Not worried that illegal immigrants are shooting them while they're out with their friends looking at the Northern Lights. It is shameful that we are here. Not because this is the 4th hearing, but because we need to have 4 hearings to make people understand the real-life consequences of the disastrous sanctuary city policies. So while some of my colleagues may not want to hear the truth, the same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Preddy,
Mr.
you should
Chairman,
feel about
would you
Sheridan Gorman
please
and
end
Laken Riley
this-
and every Angel
end this
family in
statement?
this country.
I do feel that
Unfortunately-
outrage.
You do not,
Do you,
because if you did,
do
you
you
would
feel,
not support
do you
sanctuary
feel the
jurisdiction.
outrage about Alex
You should be
Preddy and
ashamed
Renee
of
Good?
yourself.
You should be
ashamed
You don't
of
belong
yourself,
in this committee.
Jamie.
You should get the hell
You're a
out of here.
disgrace.
You don't understand the
You're
rules
a
of the committee.
disgrace.
You don't understand the Constitution.
You're a
Mr.
disgrace.
Full of
Raskin,
it.
Mr.
You're an
Raskin,
absolutely full of
absolute
it.
disgrace
Mr. Raskin,
supporting
get a hold of
sanctuary
yourself.
Say
policies.
one word about
Get rid of
Say one
sanctuary
word about
policies.
Alex Preddy and
I
Renee
did.
Good.
I
Oh,
wrote a
really?
whole New York Times op-ed about it. You should be absolutely
follow the
ashamed
rules
of
of the
yourself
committee. Get out of
for
here.
not
The committee will
opposing
be-
sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
The committee will be in order.
Mr. Chairman, I just
going
want to
to-
say we will not allow, thanks to Mr. Lawler's outrageous outburst, we will not allow this to happen again. This was an
will-
agreement
we
between
will
the
proceed-
chair and the ranking member, and unfortunately, you're not able to
We will
control your
proceed-
members, so it is time for us to proceed.
Your opening
yes.
We will
statement was
proceed-
outrageous.
we
You
will
should be ashamed of
proceed in
yourself.
order.
I yield back.
Get off of it.
Representative Jamie Raskin has built a reputation as one of the House's most forceful constitutional advocates, and during this hearing, that role was on full display. But what stood out wasn't only his frustration, it was the collision between 2 fundamentally different ways of framing immigration policy. Representative Mike Lawler opened by introducing Jessica Gorman, whose daughter Sheridan was killed in Chicago. It was an emotional moment that understandably commanded attention. Losing a child to violence is unimaginable, and any serious conversation about public safety should begin with compassion for victims and their families. Where the hearing became contentious was over what happened next. Rather than limiting his remarks to introducing the witness, Lawler expanded into a broader argument that blamed the Biden administration's immigration policies and sanctuary jurisdictions for the circumstances surrounding the crime. Democratic members repeatedly raised procedural objections, arguing that the committee had agreed introductions would remain brief and would not become opening statements. That distinction matters because congressional hearings operate under rules designed to give every side an opportunity to present its case fairly. Raskin's criticism centered on whether those agreed procedures were being followed. From his perspective, the issue was institutional integrity as much as politics. Yet the substance of the immigration debate cannot simply be dismissed. Americans want secure borders, functioning immigration laws, and safer communities. Those goals are not exclusive to one political party. Democrats have consistently argued that border security and immigration reform should move together rather than relying on rhetoric that paints millions of immigrants with the same brush as individuals who commit violent crimes. What troubled me most about this hearing was how quickly legitimate policy disagreements gave way to personal accusations. Members accused one another of shameful conduct, questioned each other's motives, and eventually shouted across the committee room. Those moments generate headlines and social media clips, but they rarely help Congress solve the underlying problems. Democrats should never shy away from discussing violent crime committed by undocumented immigrants. Every victim deserves justice, regardless of politics. At the same time, one tragic case should not become the sole basis for evaluating an immigration system that affects millions of people. Thousands of law enforcement agencies, businesses, families, and communities across the country. Representative Raskin's insistence on following committee rules reflects a broader principle that often receives less attention than dramatic exchanges. Democratic institutions depend not only on passionate debate, but also on procedures that ensure fairness, accountability, and equal participation. When those procedures break down, public trust suffers regardless of which party benefits in the moment. Ultimately, Americans deserve more than viral confrontations. They deserve lawmakers capable of honoring victims, debating evidence honestly, protecting constitutional principles, and producing immigration legislation that strengthens both public safety and the rule of law. That remains the standard Congress should be measured against.